Welcome to Sports is Life, you guys. It's Carolina Panthers Week Edition. We're breaking down the Carolina Panthers in this video. We're looking forward to their 2024 schedule, off-season additions, departures, you name it, we got it. Again, the Keep Pounding crew, they got pounded a lot last year. They only won 2 games, and those 2 wins were not pretty, very ugly, and the rest of their losses, it was brutal to be a Panthers fan last year. Let's just say that. So let's talk about overall how they did last year. They had a record of 2-15. I mentioned 2 wins. They started the season losing their first 6 games. You had Bryce Young at rookie quarterback. He was your number 1 overall pick. You know, a lot of people are going, hey, is it Stroud? Is it Young? Did they miss on Stroud? Obviously, I mean, Stroud was outstanding last year for Houston, so they're going to get question marks for that throughout the years, and it could be a big. And it'll always be in the back of the head of Bryce Young and this team and this franchise when you talk about the draft last year. But you can only look forward now if you're Carolina. They have Adam Thielen. That's probably their best receiver right now on paper. And then they went and got Leggett, the receiver in the draft, but overall, like I said, they lost their first 6 games. They finished last in the NFC South. They got a new head coach in Dave Canales. The offensive coordinator from Tampa Bay came over. He did wonders with Baker Mayfield. I actually do agree with this hire a lot. I think this is a really good hire. I think Canales honestly saved Baker Mayfield's career. I do. I think Baker he was getting close to maybe being a full-time backup in the league. I think he could still hang in the league, obviously, as a backup, but he got him paid. He definitely, Canales was a big part of that. Baker's got talent, but Canales definitely helped. So big question marks going into the season. What is the direction of this team? Are they going to move forward? Are they going to take that step forward? How big of a step, obviously, only winning 2 games last year. What are you going to do about that? Like, are they going to be wild card contenders, or are they just going to win a few more games and call it a season, honestly? How will the offense and defense look with young talent? They got a lot of young guys. They did bring in a few vets, but it's a young team. It's a rebuilding team led by Bryce Young, who's in his sophomore year. So we'll see. They didn't get the first pick overall, even though they had the worst record in the league. People forget that because of the trade with Chicago for the wide receiver DJ Moore. So yeah, Chicago kind of fleeced them on that. But we'll see. So we break down the free agency additions that they had. They got Jadeveon Clowney. That was what I mentioned with the veterans. Like a big veteran name. I mean, this is like what? Clowney's like 5th, 6th team. It's crazy to think that guy was the first overall pick by the Texans about, a little over 10, 11 years ago. And now he's on his 5th or 6th team at the end of his career, just signing 1-year deals. I think he was with the Titans last year on a 1-year deal, so yeah, it's more of a locker room presence, probably, Clowney as a signing, bringing leadership to the young guys. A lot of young guys again. They got Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver from Pittsburgh. I personally don't know how he's going to pan out. He's a wild card, Deontay Johnson. Kind of had a little bit of attitude from what I read on reports in Pittsburgh. Tomlin is one of those guys who will not play any... he's not going to play favoritism or anything like that. He expects it. Steelers are just an old school team. So we'll see how he does. They also picked up guard Robert Hunt, guard Damian Lewis, guard offensive tackle Yash Nijman. Sorry if I butchered that, Yash. Defensive tackle Ashawn Robinson, Josie Jewell, linebacker, and Dane Jackson, corner. So we'll see. Yeah, like I said, they're hoping ultimately Canales and ownership Dave Tepper, who is just a wild owner. Dude's been in the news a lot. I don't know if you guys remember seeing that security cam footage of him going into the restaurant. So that was pretty wild. With I think he removed an employee's hat or something like that. So he's a little bit of a different cat, but he wants to win. I will say that, but I'm not sure if fans really like him as their owner. We'll see. So the free agency departures, we break that down now. Not a ton of losses in free agency for these guys. They lost running backs Tariq Cohen and Spencer Brown, lost tight end Chris Pierce, wide receiver Jalen Camp, offensive lineman Il Manning, defensive tackle Raekwon Williams, and cornerbacks A.J. Parker. So again, a team that's rebuilding, you're not going to lose a bunch of guys. I mean, you're rebuilding. There's a reason why you finished that way. You're not going to lose a bunch of big names because you don't have a bunch of big names on the team. You're hoping these young guys can turn into that. Overall in the draft, we'll talk about the draft now. They traded for the number 32 overall pick in the first round. So the last pick in the first round, they got Xavier Leggett, wide receiver from South Carolina. I think he's pretty solid. I remember watching him get balls from Spencer Rattler. Rattler's not the greatest, but he's a New Orleans Saints, shout out. But I think Leggett's a big receiver who can go stretch the field. Kind of reminds me of that DK Metcalf, very big, strong, tough, physical receiver. Run after the catch, jump balls. Route running needs a little bit of work, but solid. And Panthers are hoping if he turns out to be another Metcalf, they struck gold. Round 2, they got Jonathan Brooks, the running back from Texas. Like the pick. Running backs are kind of a lost cause now in the draft, but Texas was very good on offense last year. Obviously, they went to the playoff, lost in the semifinal, but I think he was a big part of it, Jonathan Brooks. He scored a lot of touchdowns, can make guys miss, explosive speed. So we'll see there how he does there with Miles Sanders. Now he's paired up with him, who was a very big disappointment. But then again, if you can't throw the ball, they're going to load up the box like Carolina did last year because their O-line was very poor last year. So, and then they went and got Trayvon Wallace, linebacker from Kentucky in the 3rd round. They had 7 overall picks, by the way. Round 4, they went and got Jatavion Sanders, tight end from Texas. He was another good tight end in the draft. I think they got good value in this in round 4. And then round 5, they got Charles Smith-Wade, the corner from Washington State. And then they went and got Jaden Crumedy, defensive tackle from Mississippi State. And then they got a linebacker from Michigan in Michael Berry. So last pick in here. You can't ever go wrong with Michigan defense, how good they were last year. They're the best defense in college football. So can't go wrong there. It's interesting, though. I will say this. I think Carolina, their O-line it was horrendous last year. It wasn't good. Young was running for his life a lot. Especially when you have a smaller quarterback like Young, you need a good O-line or he is going to struggle. Got hit a ton, threw a lot of interceptions, fumbled the ball from hits. I mean, he's a rookie, I totally get it. They threw him into the fire and he got his experience. So we'll see how he does this year, but they got to improve the offensive line if they're going to be a better team this year. They have to, or else it's going to be a repeat of last year. It really is. I don't see how this team changes if Young can't sit back there and throw. If he's under pressure, almost every play drops back. Obviously, you're in trouble. That's the name of the game. Get after the quarterback when they're throwing. Okay, so we broke down the draft, free agency additions, departures, kind of their outlook in the offseason, how they did last year. Now we're gonna switch to the schedule. We're gonna do some schedule predictions for the Carolina Panthers. Their 2024 season. Let's do it. All right. So week 1, they open up in the division in the NFC South. Again, I've mentioned this NFC South was it wasn't good to me last year. I think again I mentioned Tampa was kind of a fool's gold how they did last year. I think Tampa got really lucky in such a poor division and they got a good matchup with Philly in the first round at home. Philly was on the brink. Anyway, going on about the NFC South, but so there are some wins here I think for Carolina if the chips fall where they may. So week 1, they're at New Orleans. I actually got them winning this game. I think New Orleans is probably 4 or 5 point favorite in this game, I want to say. Divisional game. I'm just not that impressed with New Orleans. I think Carolina's a lot closer to New Orleans than people realize. I think Carolina's defense will keep them in this game. Maybe Carolina gets a defensive touchdown, Carr throws a pick, or Bryce Young leads a couple touchdowns, and the defense just holds for Carolina. I think it'll be a sloppy game. I do think it'll be a sloppy game, and I think Carolina squeaks out the upset. Week 1, there's always a few upsets in week 1 in the NFL. It always happens. So I'm gonna give Carolina the win here. So 1-0, and then week 2 they get the Chargers at home with Harbaugh and Herbert. New look Chargers. I'm going to give Herbert and Harbaugh the win here. I think Carolina loses. I think too much talent on the Chargers. I think they're able to overcome it, and they lose their home opener, 1-1. Week 3 they go to Vegas. I got them losing this game as well. Again, I mentioned earlier, what is Carolina going to do on the O-line? I don't know if they've really improved it that much. I have to see it. When I'm telling you right now, Max Crosby is an absolute game wrecker. I bet the Raiders sometimes last year just because they had Max Crosby factor. If I know a team has a poor O-line, I bet I'll take the Raiders if they're playing against a team with a poor O-line just because how good Max Crosby is and how he can wreck a game. So I think Max Crosby has a wreck game, probably has 3 or 4 sacks, bunch of pressures, and I think the Raiders pull it out. So yeah, they go to 1-2. Week 4 versus Cincinnati at home. I think they lose this game. Cincinnati's healthy again. They're going to have Burrow, Chase, and Higgins back, barring injuries, obviously. I think Carolina loses this game as well. So I got them losing 3 straight after winning week 1. So they're 1-3. Then they go to Chicago for week 5. I got them beating Chicago and Caleb Williams and the rookie quarterback. I think this will be a surprise win for most people, for Bryce Young to go in there. But he played there last year and hung with him. So I think Carolina can get this done, make it sloppy, make it ugly. You're going against a rookie quarterback, and I think Canales will make enough calls to help Young, and hopefully this revamped offense and they get going. And I'm going to give Carolina the win here. So 2-3, week 6 versus Atlanta. I'm going to give them another win. I got them going back-to-back wins. Divisional game in Atlanta. I think they get it done. I've noticed Kirk Cousins sometimes struggles in Carolina. I think this is a perfect game, divisional. Carolina in divisional games, they muck it up. They definitely muck it up, and they make it tight and interesting. And I think in the last-second field goal win, maybe overtime, and I think Carolina gets the dub here. So they go to 3. I got them 3-3 through 6 games. Then they go week 7 at Washington. Rookie quarterback and Jaden Daniels. I got them losing this game. I think they fall to 3-4. I think Jaden Daniels is a really good rookie quarterback. I personally think he's going to be better than Caleb Williams. We'll see. I think Dan Quinn was a pretty good hire. They got some talent. I think they're being slept on a little bit in Washington. By this time, Daniels will have 6 games under his belt. So I think Washington gets the dub here. So they fall to 3-4. And then they go to Denver. Tough place to play, honestly. Mile High. It's if you're not used to it, you don't play there regularly as a team. If you're not in that division, you're not used to it in the air. It's harder to breathe, and I got Denver winning this game against Carolina. So they fall to 3-5, and then week 9 they get New Orleans at home in the second game of the divisional matchup. I got New Orleans winning this game. I think New Orleans goes in and gets the dub. I think it'll be a sloppy win, ugly game, but I think I think New Orleans gets the win. So they fall to 3-6, and then week 10 they go to London to play the Giants. Giants kind of a weaker team, but I do think the Giants win this game with Dable. Dable's a good enough coach to where I think he figures it out and gets it done. Daniel Jones. I mean, this is Daniel Jones and Dable are kind of on the hot seat a little bit, I would say. Jones is getting all that money in that contract, and Dable after last year, they did have a lot of injuries, but you can't be sloppy anymore. You can't struggle as much. Can't lose to teams like Carolina on paper if you're the Giants. So I'm gonna give Giants the win. So I have them losing 4 straight going into their bye. So their bye's in week 11, and then congratulations Carolina. You get the defending Super Bowl champions in the Kansas City Chiefs for week 12. You're at home though in Carolina, but. Sorry, I just can't do it. Kansas City's too good in these spots. Towards the end of the season, this is when Kansas City turns it on. They're down the stretch to get in the playoffs. There's no way I can take Carolina in this spot. So I got them losing this game. So I got them losing 5 straight. Sorry, Panther fans. So they lose 5 straight. And then week 13, I think they turn around. They get the win against Tampa Bay at home. They're in Carolina. I think they beat them. I think they can squeak this out in the division. It's a weak division, like I mentioned. I think Tampa Bay is not going to be as good as everyone thinks, and they muck it up and get a dub. And then week 14 at Philadelphia, too tough of a spot. I can't see them going into Philly and beating the Eagles and Hurts and those guys. I just think it's too tall of a task. I think Philadelphia is going to be a much improved team from last year. Yes, they made the playoffs last year, but I think they're going to be an even better team. I love what they did in the draft. Barring injuries, I just don't see how Philadelphia doesn't win this game. So, and then they go they do not. They go back home. They get Dallas at home, the Cowboys. Dallas is going to be fighting for a playoff spot here. I don't see Carolina winning this game in an upset or anything. I got Dallas winning. So, I got them losing again here. And then week 16, they play Arizona at home. I have the Cardinals winning. Yeah, I'm sorry, Panther fans. I think it's going to be another struggle year. I don't see the talent where it's going to come from, the points and the production. Especially, you can have average receivers, and as long as you have a really good O-line and can run the football and give your quarterback time, receivers will eventually get open. They will. It's like they're in the league for a reason. But they don't have that. Like, Carolina does not have that O-line. They don't have a good O-line. I just don't. I'm not like sold fully on Bryce Young, as people say, but some people have already given up on him because I think he's just in an unfair spot. I think this is a good coach again in Canales, but we'll see. You got Thielen, who's up there in age, probably only got a couple years left, max. They're really going to expect a lot of things from Leggett, their first-round picks. So, again, we'll see with that. So, I got them losing to Arizona, and then they go to Tampa Bay. I got them losing this game as well. I think Tampa Bay will be fighting for the division with Atlanta here, and I think Tampa Bay needs it. So, I'm going to give them the win. I'm going to give Tampa Bay the win. Carolina loses another game in a row. And then week 18 at Atlanta, I think Atlanta will be playing for the division here to win it, to seal it, clip it. And I got Atlanta winning. As long as Atlanta's healthy here, I don't see Carolina going in there and winning. They usually play tough in Atlanta. I think it'll be a tough game. It's not going to be easy because, last week of the season, guys are playing for jobs. I don't care what team you're on. You got to impress tape. You got to put out some tape for other teams in case you may not be kept there. I got them losing, but I think it'll be a hard-fought win. With that, I got my overall prediction for the Panthers is 4-13. So they do double their win total, but it's only 4 wins. After 2-15, I got them 4-13 this year. Their win total right now in Vegas, the betting market, is 5.5. So if you're a betting person and you like what I have to say with this, take the under. Again, 4-13 for Carolina. I think it's going to be very tough. Again, it's just a talent discrepancy. A lot of young talent here. Will it pan out, though? It's yet to be determined. We'll see. Besides Miles Sanders and Adam Thielen, can you really depend on anyone else in this offense? They lost Chark, too. He's a decent receiver. But I don't see it. If you can't protect, if the O-line doesn't protect Young, I don't see how they move the ball. I just don't see how they move the ball that much this year again. So, sorry about that, Panther fans. I think it's just going to be another struggle. Anyways, that's the Panthers in a nutshell. That's going to be their 2024 outlook. In my next video, again, follow me at Sports is Life 43. Again, guys, I would really appreciate it. Give it a like. Give it a dislike if you don't like it. Throw a comment. I would love to hear from you guys. I love interaction. I don't get offended. It's okay. I love it. It's sports talk. Everyone's got a take. Totally get it. So, please like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it. In our next video, we're going to break down the Chicago Bears. Again, I mentioned them earlier in the video because Carolina played them with Caleb Williams, who we'll see. Am I sold? Am I not sold? You have to tune in for the next video to find out. They did look rejuvenated last year. They kept Matt Eberflus at head coach. They rattled off some wins at the end of the season. Let go of Justin Fields, obviously. We'll see. They looked rejuvenated. Their defense looked really good last year. They've made some moves, so I think it's gonna be. I think the hype will be real in Chicago this year. They're expecting some things, even though they have a rookie quarterback. They are expecting some successes next coming season. Again, like, subscribe, guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next video.